Next up is Candente Copper. Candente is exploring in South America, and we're going to be joined by Joanne Fries, who is president and CEO. Now, Joanne is a co-founder of Candente, and since entering the mineral exploration business back in 1979, she's managed exploration programs for both junior and major international mining companies such as Queenstake Resources, Arequipa Resources, Mountain Province Mining, Placer Dome, Diamet Minerals, Hughes Lang Group, and Utah Mines, which is part of BHP. Now, Joanne lived and worked in Peru in the 1990s, and as a result of her experience there, she formed a partnership with Peruvian geologist Freddie Hanqui, and Candente Resources was established and went public in the year 2000. Since then, it has spun out various assets to form two other companies, Candente Gold and Cobriza Metals. All three companies are listed on the TSX, and the Candente companies are co-listed on the Lima Stock Exchange. Joanne is CEO of all three companies and also president of Candente. Joanne, pleasure to have you on the Global Mining Symposium. I'd like to know how you're doing today, and I'd also like to know where you're joining us from. I can see that Joanne is with us, so that's good. But I don't. Oh, and now I can see Joanne. Can we hear Joanne? Joanne, we don't hear you quite yet. Laura, is there any assistance that we can...
Joanne, can you hear us? Oh, so it seems like, Joanne, there might be a little bit of a connection issue. So maybe if we get you to stop your video, I think we'll be able to hear you better.
Yeah, Joanne, you're coming through a little bit broken. So yes, as Laura, just to underline what Laura said, if you wouldn't mind turning off your video, then we hope that that'll allow the audio, which is the most important, to come through.
Can you still hear us, Joanne?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Oh, we can perfectly. That's much better.
Now?
Yeah, I think we should be okay. So I will pass it over to you, Joanne. Again, welcome to the Global Mining Symposium.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for inviting us. I'll share my screen and get this started.
That looks good, Joanne, and I think we'll be able to hear you perfectly this way.
Okay, great. Well, good morning. That we've been working on for a little while and advancing very well. So you're seeing my screens change okay? All right, I'll just proceed. So we have at Cañariaco, our main project in Peru. We have Cañariaco Norte and Cañariaco Sur that both already have resources on them. We've done most of our work on Cañariaco Norte. You can see we have 9.3 billion pounds of copper, 2 million ounces gold, and 59 million ounces silver in measured and indicated category. And most recently, we've announced results from a PEA from Biosenco. And what we did there is looked for a lower CapEx and also to improve ESGs from previous studies. And with that study, we've got an NPV just over $1 billion and a CapEx just over $1 billion. So nice that they are the same and are equal. And that's at $3.50 copper, $3.50 copper per pound. We have at Cañariaco Sur, our second deposit that we drilled 15 holes into only. So it's an initial resource there. We have already 2 billion pounds of copper and some nice gold, 1.2 million ounces gold and 15 million ounces silver, and some moly which we didn't have in Norte. We have third-party validation with Fortescue Metals owning 19.9% of us. And research recently, RFC, Ambrian, and Haywood both recognize us as the 10th largest in the developed advanced copper projects and 6th highest in grade. And Haywood identifies us as one of 18 likely to be considered by majors acquiring. Deutsche Bank and Goldman Sachs have been looking at us a little longer. Deutsche Bank in 2021 and Goldman Sachs in 2018. This just shows you the special rights that Fortescue has, and mostly it's a right to participate in future equity, of course, and up until May this year, a little stricter right of first refusal on non-equity, so debt, royalty, streaming. You can see here in RFC Ambrian, where we stack up, and I'm hoping everybody can see my cursor here. So we're 10th largest of the advanced or late stage copper resources, and we tie for 5th highest in grade. And then from Haywood Research, again, you can see how we stack up against other projects. And this is just using the Caniraco Norte resource, Caniraco Sur resource. This has been out more recently. And Deutsche Bank mentioning we're one of 3 companies that they feel will be taken out and needed for larger companies to meet the supply-demand gap. Goldman Sachs identified Caniraco Norte when looking at the price of gold needed to go into production for all of what they call the top 84 projects. I mean, you can see how low we are on the curve here. And for location, we're in northern Peru. We're actually at the northern end of a very prolific geological belt, mineral belt. The closest mine to us is Cerro Corona, which is gold and copper in a porphyry, and of course the very famous Yanacocha gold mine, now developing into base metals underneath in more of a porphyry style. And then several other projects, mines, deposits, Michiquillay, El Galeno. Now, interestingly, we're geologically in the same belt, but politically we're the only ones in Lambayeque. And the significance of that is that about 50% of mining taxes go back to the region. So we would be the first time that Lambayeque gets very significant income from taxes. And then as far as infrastructure, we're sitting here. Now we have, for 55 kilometers, we can tie into national grid, which is mostly hydroelectric. We already have road access to the property. That's about a 6-hour drive, 150 kilometers. But of course, that will be improved. And there's lots of water in the region. The water actually flows easterly here through the Huancabamba River, but it drains to the north from us. Here you can see the lay of the land, and as I say, we have lots of water, very vegetated area. No families living where the copper is. Both of these are photographs are Caniraco Norte, and you're basically seeing here where would be the open pit for Norte. To the south here is Caniraco Sur and Quebrada Verde, the other 2, I'm going to call them porphyry centers at this moment. You're looking west at the top of the Andes where it's drier and not too high, where our pit crest is about 3,000 meters. And then this is our camp. So we're 100% owned, very large scale porphyry, copper, gold, silver, and now some moly and sur, and very well defined project development through our PEA and previous studies, because we've done quite a few different engineering studies over the years. Open pit mine with conventional crush grind flotation technology, and moderate cost because we don't need a concentrate pipeline. We don't need to build our own port. We have lots of water at site. We have relatively soft rock, which needs less power for crushing and grinding, and then a low waste to ore strip ratio, 0.66 to 1. And as I said, power from the national grid. Here are the highlights of the new PEA just released February 8th. So I mentioned a 1 billion MPV at 350 copper. Well, at 450 copper, that goes up to 1.83. And this is an 8% discount in after tax there, mind you. Average annual production for life of mine of 28 years is 173 million pounds of copper. Having said that, for the first 6 years, we'll produce 193 million pounds of copper, 34,000 ounces of gold, and 766,000 ounces of silver. As I said, a 28-year mine life, the idea is to start up at 40,000 tons per day, operate that way for the first 6 years, and then in the 7th year have an expansion and be operating at 80,000 tons per day for the rest of the project. OPEX, $1.28 is nice and low, and pre-production CapEx, just over $1 billion. Good metal recoveries, 80% for copper, 64.7 for gold, and 57 for silver. Sensitivities, of course, were very highly leveraged to the price of copper. So at current copper prices, and still using it, we would use an 8% discount. You can see our NPV is much higher and really a nice IRR. And then a payback, much quicker payback. So big part of the PEA was we wanted to look at if we could have an economic project with starting smaller and have a smaller CapEx. The other aspects that were really important to us was improving ESG. And one aspect that of the earlier work we did was we do have some arsenic. So it was introduced that a Autotech roaster that has been commissioned and is being used by Codelco at mines in Chile and planned for others. And technologically, you know, we were very happy with it. Works very well. The cost was about 15% of our capex, and the arsenic was came out as scorodite, which is a very inert mineral. Having said that, other people along the years told us that they really didn't think our arsenic was that high, and they felt we could not need it. So I went to work with Ausenco and said, what can we do to see if we don't need this roaster? And the first thing they did was geometallurgical modeling. So earlier on our studies at the project, because it was decided to use a roaster, really the deposit was not modeled for arsenic. When we did that, we actually discovered that only 35% of the arsenic on average was going to be reporting to the con, and that was instead of 85%. Also, they identified 8 different rock types that today have different levels of arsenic in them. And then once you process what is reporting to the con is also very different. So just because a rock at this moment has higher levels of arsenic in that particular unit, that won't all report to the con. So in making this into an NSR model and looking at putting two shovels and in-pit blending, we were able to come up with life of mine of only 0.49% arsenic in the first 6 years and 0.52 life of mine. And penalties for arsenic really don't kick in until over 0.5, and they don't get very high until 1 or 1.5. So we're very, very happy with these results. The 26% copper, 3.8 initially, then 3.3 grams per ton gold, and 74 to 81 grams silver, and then lower arsenic in our con. The other things we looked at, so reducing capital expenditures, that was big, and we were, as I said, excellent to have a capex that meets your NPV at 350 copper. Start with initially 40,000, ramp up to 80,000. Just going to see. Then the other thing that was really key was not using so many trucks and putting in a conveyor system, moving the plant site to a drier area, and also that would be more convenient now that we're pretty sure Canuraco Sur is going to add some economics to the project, shorten the line we need to put in for power, saved a lot of costs, and just really lowered the footprint. And a really key aspect of that is this new single dry storage facility with co-disposal of waste and filtered mill tailings. So what that means is dry stack, but they're all going in one facility, which uses a lot less space. I have to show you the full resource here, and for many of you would like to see these numbers anyway. So we have nice grades, as you can see, in the 0.3 cutoff, but current economics would say the 0.15 would all break even. So this is all Canuraco Norte measured, indicated, and inferred. And then at Canuraco, showing you Canuraco Norte here, Canuraco Sur, Quebrada Verde. Norte is where we did all the initial work. We've only started to do an initial resource at Sur where we have 15 holes. So most of the numbers I'm giving you, the entire PEA economics come from Norte. They've not touched on Sur yet because it's only inferred. But this is within 4 kilometers, this trend. And so the idea is we took the original idea of plant site down here and put it up here. I should say Ausenco did that. And basically, starting with Norte as the first pit, of course, it's the main resource we have at this moment, putting a crusher down here and a conveyor up to the southwest and then to the west to the plant site. And then, of course, it'll be a conveyor out to the commingled waste facility. And then having grid power, the access point and the road is all from here anyway. So by having most of our operation up here instead of here and here, we're staying out of a major river valley, which was going to be diverted and not touched, but still just better we're not in it. And so, as I said, a much smaller footprint. So really improved the ESG. Here you can see Canuraco Sur. Again, lots of water in the area. The drilling we've done is here. You can't even see our drill holes, 15 of them there. Plant site is up here. And then the new Canuraco Sur initial resource. So here you can see we've already got the 2 billion pounds of copper, some nice gold, silver, and some moly. And we haven't finished drilling it off yet. You know, I would say we think it's about half drilled, and lots to go there. and government involved with what's going on with the community. We have our own projects in the local government, federal government has projects there, and a project in northern BC also. So why invest in Candente or Candente Copper? All the third-party validation, activities coming up, planning to launch straight into feasibility on Norte, and at the same time work on drilling permits for resource expansion on Cañariaco Sur and initial drilling on Verde. And we do have earlier stage assets as well. And then a very solid board, both engineers, geologists, financials, and then two very prominent Peruvian fellows. And this is where we're sitting, shares outstanding. And during Q&A, you can ask some things about copper, why copper, and the future of copper if you're interested. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Joanne. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to pick up on that one there. We opened up today's comments talking about the new references as well, this big gap between the supply and demand. A corollary of that, of course, is the cost and the difficulty of finding new copper deposits is going to go up a lot if we can even find them. How does Candente fit into that picture, given that this is an asset that's been proven up over time? How do you think that makes it sit in the competitive landscape for new development projects?
Well, as you saw from Goldman Sachs, that we were very low price of copper needed to go into production when compared with the other 84 projects. That was based on numbers 3 years ago when we used a higher throughput. But yes, we're very economic when we stand up against other projects coming online. So we certainly should be one of the next ones. And that's the reason why we want to launch straight into feasibility now. I mean, our latest study is only a PEA. But having said that, it's got a lot of engineering behind it. So we feel, and Ausenco feels, of course we'll put out to tender, but to launch straight into feasibility and get that timeline going for when feasibility can complete it. And to be honest, there's a MET testing, and we've already got those holes drilled, so we've got all that core. And then there's a little bit of geotech drilling to do. And the rest of it's just engineering that now that we have a new infrastructure plan, I'm going to call it layout plan. But as far as the flotation and everything, that's, very, very close to being understood. I mean, as far as, the latest little bits of MET testing.
Excellent. And that does address a question from the audience from Ryan. He was asking for the timeline of feasibility, but it sounds like you're not there yet in terms of being able to give us a timeline on feasibility.
Well, I'm going to give you an idea. So Ausenco really felt they only need about 6 months for their work, but of course EIA and we've been doing EIA since 2007, but you have certain things you have to do at the moment. And so we'll actually engage with SENACE in Peru, who starts the EIA of feasibility at the moment with you when you start. So that'll be a year for that aspect. But if we can get the engineering done in 6 months, then at least we can be talking to people about offtake and other, the debt. We're already talking to Peruvian pension funds, and they're very keen to get involved. They do get involved in smaller mining projects in Peru where they can be a significant piece. And then basically it's once you're finished fees, it's, a year for detailed engineering and permitting, of course. And then with the bigger project, it was 2 years for construction was what we were given. But the smaller project, I would hope it could be a little shorter, but that's what I know.
Okay, excellent. Another one from the audience. Is a high level of mechanization implied by that low stripping ratio? Are there geotechnical issues that may pose any safety hazards, particularly during the rainy season, since it was mentioned that the rock is relatively soft?
No, we don't think so. That's why we don't have the steepest side pits right now, but 3 more geotech holes could allow us to steepen the pit for the final, the ultimate, yeah.
Okay, and we had one from Eduardo around permitting process, but you touched upon that. That's coming. Any updates on permitting process or what the steps are there?
I can't mention, I mean, I don't have the details. No, our full PEA report will be out by March 14th, and that'll obviously give many more details on all of these things. Okay,
excellent. Joanne, thank you so much for coming in and presenting for us. It's a very timely time to look at an asset like this, given where we all think copper is going. So continued success, and thank you for pushing through. Even though the video part did not work, you did come through loud and clear, and the presentation was perfectly visible. Thank you,
Okay,
Joanne.
excellent. And you can tell what I look like anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, we have a photo of you, so that's good. I like the hard hat. You wear it well.
Thank you. Okay, I'll
Thanks,
stop
Joanne.
sharing now.
Have a great
Thanks,
rest of the day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.